Hi, I'm Olivia, and this is Ritual Kitchen, where I like to talk about rituals and I like to talk about food. I made a little video a year ago when I took the course, The Elements of Natural Building, which is held by Ashley McDonald, who lives in Zunana, Guatemala, at Lake Atitlan. And it was a 10-day course where she and her helping facilitators showed us all the different techniques of natural building, and we got to meet lots of different people who use different techniques, see a lot of different builds, and get our hands dirty. And we were a group of like 10 to 16, somewhere in that space. Everyone, I think the only continent that was missing was South America, but otherwise there was a person from every continent, which was super beautiful experience. And yeah, it was one of my most like empowering courses that I've taken over the years. I've recommended it to so many people, and I will continue to. And it was just really great for connecting to the hands and to the power of, community and getting people together into projects together. And so thank you, Ashley, thank you, Tidge and Lindsay, and the rest of the group for creating that experience, and also for answering my questions in such a thoughtful way. So enjoy. Okay, so what are your favorite things about natural building, or why do you want it to be shared, or why do you share it?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's a million answers. But the first thing is that I really want everyone to trust their own capacity to create home, and to have a relationship with home, and to really create a nuanced and intimate relationship with the elements that allows for them to be in their body and be in communion and community in a way that helps them feel connected and whole and worthy. And then ultimately gives them those very practical hands-on skills to create structures and to create space to their liking, and to know that their desires and their longings and their visions and their creative kind of twists are all possible. So of course, to connect people to home, but then on a broader sense also to connect people to this way of building that's our birthright. That is our ancestral reality, that all of our ancestors built in this way. So to help people to recognize and normalize this practice that has been the way forever. So I think that's a big piece of it. I also want them to experience what it's like to be in a microcosmic reality during the course of a community of people who are supporting each other and supporting this work and kind of flourishing in the world and taking shape and being accessible, and getting to see what it's like when we really come into communion and community around the elements and around this central altar that we create, in this act of kind of ritualistic building that's based in your own body knowing, your own body wisdom, your own connection to the elements. So that, all of that.
Good, great. And what are your favorite rituals, either from this container or from life, that you would like, people to have in their lives?
I think the most important, which we do every day, is just starting the day with giving thanks, starting the day from this place of the humble heart that says, wow, without these unique circumstances on this planet in this moment, I couldn't exist. And just embracing the awe and the wonder that provokes when you come into a true sense of gratitude for that. And so I suppose it's just starting the day in a grateful way and with reverence. And song, of course, because song just tickles awake all the parts of us that are asleep to our own beauty, to each other's beauty, to the beauty of this world. So incorporating song is something that I hope that people really are able to kind of put in their own tool belt from the experiences that we share here. And along with that, like more than anything, what it's like to have all those things in community, to not be alone in that. There are so many of us who have our own private ritual and our own personal relationship to ritual, which is powerful and needed. And I think everyone notices how different it is when we really share it, and where that brings us all, and what kind of a world it could create if we all were sitting in circles sharing that. So hopefully song, and whatever seed anyone took away from it, ultimately I hope that every person takes a unique seed and a unique piece of the ritual and personal inquiry and internal questioning, and connection to their own internal landscape, and kind of inherits whatever rituals feel right for them. So that's the most important.
You're filming, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. The salient seed would be for people to walk away feeling capable and inspired to just be the inherent creators that they are. Like knowing that they can walk into any environment, step onto any land, and if they had the desire and the actual autonomy to do it in that space, they could create whatever structure they would need. Obviously there's some things that are like limited by the bounds of gravity and reality, but within that, just to know that they are capable of creation, capable of building home, and that's huge. It's been a big lost thread.
Are there any rituals or practices that we did during the course that you would want people to take with you?
Anything that supported people to build better relationship with themselves and with all of life is supportive, and what I'd want to take away. And most of those rituals, or most of those kind of activities, were aimed at that. And maybe some landed in certain ways for certain people than others did, but it's just about how do we build relationship with ourselves? How do we come closer to understanding our needs, our preferences, our the nature and the nurture, and what is mutable and what isn't, right? So there's so much of it. I can't go into too much detail because we'd have to do a whole other course,
So what I'm taking from the course into my life is the knowing that I was born with the knowledge of how to build my house. Just like a bird hatching from an egg knows how to build its nest. I know how to turn earth into home. I'm definitely going to carry the rituals of the morning, of coming into the body and singing songs, and I'd really like to do what Ashley had done for us, which is dedicate each day to communing with an element so that I can come into a deeper relationship with those elements that make up everything in this universe. That was a really powerful practice that really shifted my experience.
I'm taking in the deep medicine that comes from working with your hands in the soil, in the straw, and also working with community. The sort of support that one can feel in the structure that's been built together with hands that care. And so much more. Also taking all of these bits of wisdom that come out, which are maybe, when this attaches, there has to be a special marriage between these two structures, or they won't hold because they're made of different material. Things like that are metaphors for life, and we're learning to connect with others, to connect with things and people that are different than us. So just how that can take special enforcement and effort and thought. A lot of that medicine and pearls of wisdom that are dropped while teaching something concrete. Solid.
And are there any rituals from our 9 days together that you want to incorporate into your daily life?
Yes, it all felt like a ritual, actually. So really getting my hands more in the clay, more in the soil. That is something I want to incorporate into my daily life. And singing, remembering to sing, to consecrate moments, to consecrate a morning, to wake up and go move the body, and have a ritual around consecrating the day.
I feel a bit less, I think the phrase I was coming up, a bit less like a foreigner in nature, just I feel closer with all the trees, the plants, the dirt. So that's big. That like there's still like a lot to learn, but like there's a little bit sparking, a little bit of confidence. Like I can look at something and see different approaches or have different ideas. Yeah. Or just feel dirt differently now. Yeah. I like singing in a circle every morning, but just getting my feet in the dirt. Yeah. You want to put my feet up? There you go.
What I will take into my future is definitely a deep belief and also knowledge of the reality that housing is like a basic right, and it can be healthy and cheap and ethically correct, environmentally sustainable for basically everyone on the planet. So that I will definitely take with me in my life. I was reminded during the course like of the importance of having an altar and a sacred space. How it can like be a vessel for energy. Also the power of being in group and really going deep. It's reminded of that, you know, like sharing vulnerability in community. So those, well, the ritual of the altar I will definitely take with me, and I set an intention to create strong community.
So I think the biggest takeaway is just being able to look around my natural landscape and see things for many uses, different materials for building, and the way that just nature has already landscaped herself, how I can build around aspects of landscape that I really love, like trees or big boulders, and you know, just walking up to a property and being able to do soil tests and know, yeah, I can put a structure up here. Like I don't need much in order to create something, especially something really big, and something that can house myself or food or even like livestock, chickens and such. That's the biggest thing.
Okay.
So I think my favorite ritual was this importance around the elements and the four elements and then the 4 directions, and it was this really simplistic way of like grounding ourselves and bringing us back to understanding, well, again, it's like our connection with nature. And so the song that we would sing every morning and just giving thanks, not just in the 4 directions, but this idea that these elements are also like our grandmothers and our grandfathers, and you know, from what we come from and where we will return. And I think moving forward, just having that gratitude each moment when you're building, or even just in the morning, just kind of like, okay, yeah, here we are.
From this experience, I think I'm gonna really, or the biggest thing that I'm gonna take with is this like sense of empowerment, that I can build a structure or my home myself, and kind of that connection to just like ancestrally the human race, and how up until recently we always built our homes ourselves, and kind of coming back to that and seeing that all I really need is, you know, ideas and vision and my physical body and the help of my friends. So yeah, just not having to rely on the systems that are, and being able to start something new or bring back the traditions that once were, and also that just connection to earth and kind of planning planning in the landscape, the seasons, the elements into whatever I'm going to be creating. Rituals that I want to take with is getting my feet muddy more often, and also, I guess, yeah, keeping that kind of connection with the elements going, and thinking about how they will be changing the flavor of my day differently each day, and paying respect to their role in my daily life.
This course has given me so many gifts. I think the opportunity to really think about what my house I would like to have it look like, and some guidance as to how to go about even asking myself that question. I think I've been made aware of all the factors that are really important to take into account when you're choosing a spot, and then how to build on that spot and how to position your house, what materials to use. So it's a really interesting process of inquiry that's begun for me, and this course has been a perfect opportunity to do that, to ask myself what my preferences are, what I would really like to have as a home. And I've also gotten an opportunity to, on the practical side, really get in there and apply a lot of the theory that we've used and try a bunch of different techniques. I think also part of what I'm taking away from it is how much fun I've had, like how good it feels to work physically and to create something, and then to look back and be like, that's something that we made together. So taking that joy as well. Yeah, I've had a lot of ritual and ritual practice in my life, but never really such deep focus on the elements. So I think in future I would like to see how I can incorporate into my practice over time, to acknowledge and work with the different elements, to sing to them, to pray with them, to incorporate them into my altar spaces. So yeah, it's definitely all about the elements for me when it comes to ritual.
It's crazy when I think about it, like how much like people talk about like importance of like clean food, you know, and like all these different practices and all these different things, but there's so little that's being said about shelter. And I feel like I came here, there was this interest to learn about natural building and like natural materials to build with, but I don't know, it was just like so shocking to see how, I don't know, I'm just interested even to go back home and see my house and how I'm been living, and it's just like, whoa, it's so different. It's so different. So yeah, just I don't know, I'm just aware of so much stuff that I didn't like think about before. But yeah, like it's definitely, a seed is definitely planted. Yeah, seed's definitely planted, and I can't wait to see like how each one of us is gonna like, I didn't even take the time to integrate the experience fully, you know, and reflect on it, because we're still in it.
What am I gonna bring with me into my future from this natural building experience? I think the biggest thing I'm gonna bring with me from this course is just this sense of like, I can do this. Like before, I had this sort of conventional idea of what a house should look like. It should look like, you know, like a rectangle with a triangle on top. And now my mind feels so much more open to a lot of different possibilities and really get creative. So I think what I'm bringing with me from this course is just a new sense of possibility for what I can do and how I can kind of do it myself. Sure, I need people's help, but I don't need to rely on others to do it for me. Like I can build my own home, which is amazing. But I think one of the biggest rituals that I'd like to take with me from this experience is really just connecting to the earth, like really kind of like putting on my builder glasses and
and looking at landscapes and terrains and seeing, oh, there's clay. I'm like, whoa, look at that color of clay, and that's something that I could use for a structure or even an art project. And really just starting to look at the earth wherever I go in the world, and really just seeing materials that I could work with. Yeah.
One of the biggest things is patience that I've kind of come to see that natural building is a slow process. Really starting with observation of land and space and thinking through how you want the space to be and what needs it serves, needs and desires. And then just how diverse it is and how robust it can be against the elements. Like you're creating it with elements, and I think there's an inherent robustness that it can withstand a lot of the elements if it's done carefully and intelligently. I think the honoring of the elements, I don't, whether that will be my daily life or in the process of building a natural structure, that you're incorporating those elements, and so honoring those through ritual. As you start to do that, kind of opening circles and closing circles. And then, sort of a cross between the two, both the learning and the ritual, is just how community oriented it is. The statement of you can't do it alone. The bad news is you can't do it alone, but the good news is you can't do it alone. That really hit home. And so just really incorporating community, both for when the space and place is finished, that I want to really be able to welcome community, but also be able to help people build their structures and rely on community to help build mine, which I think will, many hands make light work, and it will also just make it way more fun to just have that company. I love to be around people, and so I think in a sense that is ritual, is just building in community.
From this natural building course, what I've learned is like what a home could mean outside of just its structural capacity, and like all the elements that make up a home, and being able to introduce that to other people in order to create communities, and therefore bringing more people together, and like creating a space for people that are really planting seeds for this type of building that's like really grounding and just like really beautiful in its organic kind of shapes, and so I'm really excited for that. Also really excited for the things that I took away from it in ritual. Wait, did you ask that question already?
Yeah.
And I really love our morning song and other songs that we also sang throughout the workshop. The yoga has been really inspiring, and also like the 4 elements in nature: the fire, air, earth. I'm missing one, water. and really kind of incorporating that in my life, and like being able to switch the days as we have here, and like really feel those elements and weave them into my life, and plant those seeds as well with loved ones and community. I think those are all the things.
I'm definitely going to take away a lot of gratitude and a newfound respect for the earth and what she gives us, and how we need to take care for it, and what we can do with her if we respect her and take care of her. I am going to take away confidence in my ability to create. I'm going to take away more intention in my selection of materials and how I want to build spaces that give as much as they take from the earth. And I want to take away knowledge that I can share with others about how building houses, how creating a home can be accessible to everybody, how we can use our own bodies, our own hands, the materials and resources around us to create a space that embodies home. I will take away more of a conscious approach to the elements and the rituals around honoring each element and the way that it's used within our space, the way it creates the ambiance in our space. Ritual-wise, I love starting every morning with yoga. I love starting every morning with community, really tapping into those around us and the connections and investing the time into building and furthering those connections is definitely something I'm gonna take away.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I'm taking like a very full heart. Just getting to know wonderful people and diving deep with them, emotionally and in the dirt, you know, working towards a common vision and learning and growing together. It's been extremely nourishing for the heart. So my heart is extremely full. As far as knowledge, I'm taking like a very broad, it feels like a broad landscape of understanding as far as different options that I might have in different situations as far as natural building, where I can apply what and where and what makes the most sense. I knew a little bit on each of these different modalities. Now I feel like I know enough to make educated decisions that would be in alignment with certain environments. So that in itself is huge, as well as I have practical application tools now because of some of the hands-on work that we did here. I think the biggest thing I would say is just bringing more awareness into the holistic journey that building is in itself. So going about that in a more sacred way, really, you know, that we're literally building with the elements, and we're made up of the elements. And so this course has really refined and highlighted that truth, you know. So I'll bring that more into my creations, and I think by doing that, it will create more of an umbrella of holistic and conducive energy that will feel better for all people on a job site, as well as myself.